Can you talk about your background, where you grew up, and how you ended up being interested or going into journalism eventually? I mean, how did this all start?
Well, I'd have to say that I took a rather unusual path to get to the New York Times. I took an unusual path to become an investigative reporter because I grew up in, I guess, one of the most desperately poor, dangerous communities in America, in Gary, Indiana, steel town. My father was a laborer in the steel mill. I managed to get out of there alive, but several experiences shaped who I am. I saw the danger that workers faced on a daily basis, working in a plant that was 27,000 employees. The first summer I worked there, 2 or 3 people were killed in my department. It didn't merit even a mention in the newspaper. United States Steel ran that town. No one reported critically on United States Steel. And I, as a kid growing up in a household where we discussed political ideas and current events, I wondered why that was. And fortunately, I had a father who wondered as well. And you ask how I ended up being a journalist. It started not only with my experience in Gary, but it started with my father, who learned about this country overseas. He learned about it from books. He loved the Founding Fathers. He loved what they stood for, what they reported, and what they wrote. And as a child, he would just say, you've got to study them, you've got to read them, you've got to know what this country is about. You have to know why it's important for people to have information. If you have information, they can't lie to you. Governments can't lie to you. And the importance of getting people information in a democracy is what it's all about. And my father, growing up in Europe, saw all that as the creeping Nazism and how people just blindly embraced what demagogues and horrible people were telling them. And he didn't want that to happen in his country, which, you know, he studied it, he moved here because he loved it, and he passed that on to me. And I had no idea at that time whether I was going to be a journalist. In fact, never occurred to me. But the seed was planted.